Welcome back, everyone. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Liam.
And Damien Chazelle has returned for his third big theatrical release, this time moving away from the musicians and Hollywood actors, and he's looking at the true story of the Apollo 11 mission to the moon and, of course, Neil Armstrong. It's the movie First Man. Here are our thoughts.
Neil, everyone's in agreement. We'd like you to command. Shine on the one I love.
Mom, what's wrong?
Nothing, honey. Your dad's going to the moon.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin.
We have a go for main engine start. T-minus 10,
The entire world's watching.
9, 8,
Do you question whether the program's worth the cost?
7,
In money and in lives?
6.
First Man was directed by Damien Chazelle, and it stars Ryan Gosling, Claire Foy, Kyle Chandler, Corey Stoll, and a pretty solid ensemble cast.
Yeah, and it's about Neil Armstrong and his struggles with not only getting to the moon, but also his family life at home. And it's basically a character study of his life and the years that led up to that iconic moment in history where man walked on the moon.
Yeah.
And what did you think about it, Robbie?
I got so many thoughts.
Yeah?
I became an instant fan of Chazelle when I first saw La La Land, when it came out in 2016. I hadn't seen Whiplash before seeing La La Land, so that was my first introduction to Chazelle, and he blew me away. Went back and watched Whiplash, blew me away again. Both those movies I give 5 stars. And walking out of First Man, I said to myself, Chazelle has done it again.
Yeah?
I thought, and I'm not even overstating when I say this, I think that First Man is an absolute triumph. And it's the kind of film you rarely see these days. And something that Chazelle somehow just seems to know exactly how to do. 3 for 3.
Yeah. It's pretty insane to think that this is so good, considering he's moved away from what he's known for. Because he's sort of set himself up to be an auteur of, music films. But this is just a completely different tonal shift, and it's and it works really well. I think that his direction is as strong as ever. Everything about the film, you can really tell that he had it all together. He knew what he was doing. He knew the story that he wanted to tell. And I was a little bit worried about the fact that he didn't write this one, but I thought that the script was great. I thought that the screenplay provided by name who forgets me, I'm sorry, you did a great job. I thought it was fantastic, and it felt great. It felt like Chazelle really knew what he was doing with it, and he told a really tragic story, but it also was very uplifting,
Yeah, in a way, this movie isn't unlike Whiplash and La La Land in that it is still centered on a dreamer. It's just a different kind of dreamer. It's not someone who dreams of being a musician or an actor or a movie star. It's someone who dreams of going to space and exploring the unknown. So in that sense, it is kind of like his third chapter in his series of dreamers, but it is definitely a huge departure from what he's done before. It's much bigger in scale.
Oh, it's huge.
But then at the same time, the film for a lot of the time is quite small scale. They could have very much easily done kind of like what Apollo 13 did, which nothing is Apollo 13. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. But they could have easily done a play-by-play of the events that took place at NASA leading up to the Apollo 11 launch. Instead, the film takes a different approach and perspective, and Chazelle really pulls back, and it's not so much the space stuff and all that. It's still very much there in the film, and it is obviously important to the narrative, but it's not the focus of the movie. The focus of the movie is Neil Armstrong, what he went through publicly, personally, in the years, days leading up to that historical mission. And number of things which I'm not going to spoil, because a number of things that I did not know happened to Neil Armstrong, which really caught me off guard. And I think it was the right approach, because only by really knowing the man can you appreciate the accomplishments that he pulled off.
Oh, absolutely, because, you go into the film knowing that he's a legend.
Yeah.
What he did, is incredible.
Yeah.
But the film quickly makes him a person, which is great, because it makes us relate to him. And we relate to his struggles, He goes through things that a lot of people go through, and it's tough to see. That's why when you see him triumph, it's so magnificent.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed in all three of Chazelle's movies. He never exaggerates personalities or anything, like for the sake of big screen entertainment. He keeps their humanity very much intact.
They're people.
With flaws, and there's a number of things that Neil does in the film that I don't personally agree with. Certain things the way he handles certain things, not so much his intentional stuff. That's all fine, obviously, but the way he goes about certain things, because he is known, and it really shows in the film. He's quite introverted in the way he reveals his emotions. He's quite stoic. Ryan Gosling is the perfect choice for Neil Armstrong, because Ryan is a very minimal actor.
Yeah.
He does a lot with very little. Which is great.
Absolutely. He's always strong, even when he's saying so little.
Yeah, and there's so many scenes in here where Ryan isn't really moving much or saying much. Even with facial expression, he's quite still. But somehow you still know exactly what he's thinking at any given time, what emotions he's feeling, what he's going through. It's really quite brilliant.
Yeah, and he gives a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
And you know who else gives a fantastic
Claire
performance?
Foy.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Claire Foy.
Just fantastic. If she doesn't get an Oscar nomination, if neither of them get an Oscar nomination, I'll be chucking a fit, because there was one scene in particular, Claire Foy, you'll know the one I'm talking about, where I feel like that's going to single-handedly garner her an Oscar nomination. It's powerful.
It was so raw.
Yeah.
Their performances were so raw. And I loved the fact that it did switch between perspectives.
Yeah.
Of the two.
She really breaks the boundaries of the wife waiting at home stereotype. We've had so many of them, and they always kind of do the same thing. Here you see like a different angle on that, and she does still have the typical scenes where she's at home waiting, worried, but there's so much more to that. There's so much more development around her character, and she's just as big a personality, has just as big an impact as Neil Armstrong himself in the film.
Which was important to do,
Definitely,
I think. I think you needed an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
Because what it seemed he was doing was crazy. It was absolutely insane.
It was crazy.
And we, as an audience, get to, see it through her eyes. And I think that was the best way to handle it.
Yeah. And I think what the film did very well is it questions, discovery and searching for the unknown and, moving forward and everything is incredibly important, but at what cost?
Yeah.
And the film really walks that line, where it kind of leaves up to the audience at times to be like, what do you think? Are we doing? Did they do the right thing by sacrificing so much for the sake of what they did? Again, obviously a lot of stuff everyone knows, but I'm not going to reveal stuff, because there is some things that I didn't know that happened.
But once again, that's another one of the themes that Damien Chazelle likes to work with is sacrifice.
Yeah. That was a big one in La La Land and Whiplash.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And it's just as prevalent here.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I ever asked you properly, so what did you think of the film? Obviously, I know you loved it.
I thought it was really great.
Yeah.
I thought it was really great. I've told you my real only gripe with the film, but I'm in the minority on that one. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I really loved the score.
Oh,
the score was fantastic.
The score was one of the best scores I've heard in recent years.
It was beautiful. Yeah. It was absolutely beautiful. Justin Hurwitz is just
returns from La La Land and Whiplash, and
he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The man has done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
The
entire score, even the really soft bits where in other soundtracks it's kind of like just filler music, just to have some noise in the background. Every single moment in the soundtrack is phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. With the two standouts for me being the music during the actual Apollo 11 launch, and then the one that absolutely just was breathtaking was the actual moon landing. The music during that scene is just unbelievable. That whole scene is unbelievable.
It perfectly captures
Yeah.
all of the emotions that the film
Yeah.
has been building around it, and
Yeah.
it's not emotionally manipulative like some scores.
No.
It just does what a score is supposed to do, and it adds to
It
it.
uplifts it all.
Absolutely. And it was just fantastic.
Yeah. But what's amazing that the film, if it didn't have that score, the film just by visuals was already saw, and the music just makes it just that much better. And you know the whole actual Apollo 11 launch, you know, the famous bit that obviously the film is really promoting, that's not till the end of the third act.
Yeah.
But I don't think that, like, I know a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people who thought the pacing was slightly off, where they thought that should have been sooner. I disagree completely, because it feels earned by the time you get there.
I agree.
You see the blood, sweat and tears that they all went through to get to that moment, and it feels, it's not there just for the sake of spectacle by the time you get to it. It's actually, you feel like you're ready for this, and it's, like I said, it's earned.
It is earned.
So,
it's a payoff. It's a
Definitely.
well set up and well done payoff.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me the movie was never boring. It
No.
was never boring at all.
No.
It was always way too interesting for it to be
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
And like you said, visually the film is very nice. It's very good. I love the aesthetic of the time period. I think it really nailed it. The production design was brilliant. Like everything looked fantastic. But here's my problem.
Here we go.
Is I didn't like the way it was shot at all. I
Okay.
thought the cinematography was super inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
You have some sequences that are absolutely beautiful and breathtaking, like the final sequence of the film, for example.
And anything in space really is done quite grand.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. But to me, and like I said, I seem to be the only person on Earth that thinks this. But to me, it was too shaky. It was too shaky in scenes that didn't need to be shaky, and it honestly distracted me.
Right.
It distracted me a lot. There were scenes where they're at a dinner table, and it felt like pointless handheld.
Right.
And I didn't understand why they did that instead of actually having it, propped up on a tripod or filmed to be steady, to show like a contrast, I guess. And you brought up a good point of, like, you think that it's more about showing the shakiness of Neil, like his mindset and what he's going through.
Kind of losing grip with reality at times. There was that, yes.
But it was also in other scenes, like when Claire Foy went to confront some guys.
Yeah.
I think it honestly just distracted
Right.
me. It got to a point where it looked not bad, but it didn't look good. And the part that made, like, there were some shots that did look bad though. I think that there was that one shot where a guy, like an extra said a line, right? And it was on his face, and when he was saying the line, it was out of focus, and then it did a focus pull to be in focus. Mm-hmm. There were so many times where there would be close-ups of the characters that were out of focus, and
See, I loved all that.
I hated it.
See,
I thought it looked so pointless. It felt incomplete. It felt rushed.
See,
to me.
that's what I really loved about it, because I felt like it really seemed to me like they were going out of the way to make the film look imperfect, like not look perfect, because I mean, it is obviously set in the 60s, because it's the Apollo 11. The entire film, apart from when they're in space, but when they're on Earth, it's got this really kind of like a yellowish hue to the whole picture.
I love that. But that's
that coupled with there was definitely film grain in the entire thing, and like I noticed, like there was times when it looked like there was like projector imperfections, like times like the spots that come up. So that coupled with the handheld camera, I thought gave it a really raw, natural feel, and it felt like when they were following the lives of the Armstrongs and like the personal lives, it really felt like a super 8mm home movie, which I loved. And then when you're at NASA, it felt more like you're watching like this documentary, someone following them around and everything. And then when you contrast that with the amazing IMAX cinematography in space, that contrasts really well. But I just loved how it just felt so, like Earth felt so chaotic, like everything is happening at once, and it just felt so raw and just.
See,
I
agree I agree that it was raw, but to me it didn't feel entirely intentional all the time.
Right.
And that's the problem that I have with it, is that like the cinematography is very inconsistent, and that's a personal taste, I guess. That's just a personal taste because a lot of other people have been talking about how they think it's just stunning, the whole way through. And you know what? If you find it visually appealing, then that's fine. It is the same DP as La La Land, which is
Linus Sandgren.
Awesome. Yeah. But I thought that the work in La La Land was much more consistently beautiful.
As a whole, I mean, La La Land. Like it is, I know it is with you. La La Land's a very special movie for me. And there's not many movies that will ever top it. It's in my top 3. I absolutely adore it. First Man, as much as I love it, it still does fall short of La La Land as a whole. But it's not so much a reflection on just the quality of the film. It's just La La Land had just the subject matter and everything was more personal obviously to us. But if I'm taking that away, I think on different levels for different reasons, I couldn't really pick one apart from the other as to in terms of quality. I couldn't really put one above the other.
See, I could do that. I could do that with this film, but I couldn't do it with Whiplash and La La Land. I think that they're very much even.
Yeah.
They're both in my top 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. That's seriously, the cinematography was the only thing that brought the film down for me personally. To me, everything else was just phenomenal.
Yeah. See, for me, like, I mean, I've always been, and here sitting with other reviews, I've been very vocal in terms of my feelings towards handheld camera work. I generally, as a generalization, I don't like it. There are certain films, but that's really down to like many directors not knowing how to use it. Because there is a time and place for everything. There are movies like
Hurt Locker does it very well.
Hurt Locker, Saving Private Ryan, the opening does it very well. The Bourne movies use handheld extremely well. But then it's all these other movies like the Transformers movies just don't use it well. It's chaotic for the sake of being chaotic and hiding, imperfections and stuff like that. Taken did like the sequels, use handheld camera work absolutely atrociously. And it's those movies that have kind of made me turn against handheld camera work, because you get more often than not, you get 80% of the movies coming out and the handheld camera work is just done by people who don't know how to use it and when to use it.
Don't know why it's being used.
Exactly.
It's because it does have a purpose. You know?
For sure. But then, like I said, in Saving Private Ryan, I had no issue with that at all. Bourne movies, no issue, and that is extremely shaky camera work in the Bourne films.
In the Bourne movies,
A Star Is Born, when we get to that review, that used handheld camera work as well, and that didn't bother me either. So it depends how it's used. And First Man, when it first kicked off and I saw the handheld camera work, I thought, oh, please don't screw this up for me, Chazelle. But after like 2-3 minutes, I was like, no, I'm fully on board with it. I had no issue with it at all. But yeah, so that is obviously the only thing we disagree on. Everything else, flawless. I can't fault anything in this movie apart from the usual little nitpicking things that even now I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, every movie has
movie has a nitpick when you watch it, but I can't think of anything right now. So yeah, what are you giving it?
I'm giving it a very strong 3.5 stars. I'm going to rewatch it. I plan on seeing it at the cinema again, to see if maybe I was just tired, or something, the first time I was watching it. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's very much one of the best films of this year so far. Very strong entry, and we're getting to the end of it, which is insane.
We're getting into nearly November in a week or so.
That's crazy. But yeah, it might be a 4 stars from me, but for now I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick at a strong 3.5.
So I'm assuming it goes La La Land, Whiplash, First Man?
Correct.
Right, yeah. For me it goes La La Land, First Man, Whiplash. But they're all amazing. Which I think that just gave away my star rating since I gave both Whiplash and La La Land 5 stars.
Spoiled it.
Yeah, no, this is an easy 5 stars for me. It's one of my, it's in my top 3 of the year, could be my top 2. I'm not too sure just yet. I've seen it a couple of times. I'm planning on going to see it again. It absolutely floored me, this movie. Leading up to the last 20 minutes, I was already just amazed, and then the last 20 minutes happened, and it is honestly one of the most breathtaking things I've ever seen on screen. It is absolutely incredible. if you haven't seen it on the big screen yet, go see it on the big screen.
Do it.
On the big screen possible, with the best sound system, because it's honestly worth it.
Plus, this film isn't doing too well financially.
No.
It needs to be supported. Support
Yeah.
this film, guys.
Yeah, this thing needs to outdo Transformers. Come on.
Come on, man.
It's Damien Chazelle. Just keep going the way you're going, because it's amazing. 3 for 3. Yeah.
We have serious problems.
We've got this under control.
You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.
Anyway, guys, those were our thoughts on First Man. Please let us know what you thought down below. Did you love it as much as Robbie? Did you love it as much as La La Land and Whiplash? Let us know what you think. Keep an eye out for our future reviews coming out soon, including A Star is Born by Bradley Cooper. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.